The dollar is only strong because interest rates are high. The lower interest rates fall, the deeper the dollar goes. It's the beginning of the death of the dollar. The deeper the dollar falls, the higher gold prices go because gold is dollar-based. So it's cheaper for other countries to buy gold. This is just the beginning. When we go to gold, you have to look at the geopolitical situation, the Ukraine war and the Israel war. These two wars ramp up, gold prices are going to spike way, way beyond where they are now.
Gerald Celente, a well-known trend forecaster and publisher of the Trends Journal, has issued several dire warnings about the instability of what he calls the artificial global economy. According to Celente, this economy is sustained not by organic growth or real productivity, but by excessive debt, loose monetary policies, and the manipulation of financial markets by central banks, governments, and a handful of powerful institutions like BlackRock and Vanguard that own and control everything. Celente argues that central banks have kept the global economy afloat through historically low interest rates and excessive money printing, which has inflated asset bubbles in stocks, real estate, and other sectors. He believes this reliance on fiat currency and artificial financial measures has created a fragile, unsustainable economic structure that could implode when central banks can no longer keep inflation or rising interest rates in check. Celente points to geopolitical conflicts, trade wars, and supply chain disruptions as triggers for economic turmoil. He believes that increased tensions between major economic powers, especially the US and China, further weaken the already strained global economy. He is also vastly concerned about the escalation of the situation in the Middle East, forecasting that this could very well be the beginning of a global nuclear war that will forever end the world as we know it today. In response to the vulnerabilities of the global economy, Celente often advocates for tangible assets, particularly gold, as a hedge against the collapse of fiat currency. He sees gold and other precious metals as safe stores of value that retain purchasing power even when fiat currencies lose value due to inflation or financial instability. Despite gold's brilliant performance in 2024, with the precious metal hitting new all-time highs several times this year, Celente predicts the rally is just starting, and there's much more to come in 2024-2025. The renowned trends forecaster recently delivered some powerful points about the global economy, politics, and the intentional and dangerous manipulation of the markets in an interview with WT Finance. As we present clips from the conversation, please share and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications bell for more videos like this. We appreciate the support and hope you enjoy the video.
You go back to 2019, Germany was in the cusp of recession. Oh, and people forgot, again, I'm a political atheist. Just briefly, I began my career working on major political campaigns in Westchester County, the richest county in America back in the day. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. I designed and instructed a course called American Politics and Campaign Technology and taught it at St. John's University, how to run political campaigns. And at a younger point in my life, I was the chief government affairs specialist for the chemical industry, killing environmental legislation at the height of the environmental movement in the 1970s. So I was on the other side. Then I started to grow up. I'm making this point because if I wasn't on the other side, I wouldn't know what I know now. It's a freak show. That's who's running the world's governments. Little bunch of gutless, moronic freaks that are leading us into very, very terrible economic dangers ahead. And it's only going to get worse. Going back to, they printed all of this fake money, artificially propped up everything. So all those people like in America that they love Trump, I can't stand either one of them. To me, it's a Disney World White House, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Go back to 2018 when the equity markets in December were crashing and Donald Trump forced the Fed head to lower interest rates to artificially prop up the markets. Again, what you were saying in 2019. Go to the repo disaster that was going on in September of 2019, when they're dumping in all this money, the Federal Reserve, to artificially prop up the banks again. People forgot about this. One of our top trends for 2020 was New World Disorder. People forgot. There were protests going on in France, the Yellow Vests, Algeria, South Africa, Chile, Cambodia, Bolivia, all over the world, people taking to the streets because of lack of basic living standards, government corruption, crime, and violence. Oh, then COVID happened. Can't go out in the street, can't protest, get back in your house. They artificially propped this thing up with all that fake money, again, backed by nothing and printed on nothing. And now it's coming to an end. Canada just lowered their interest rates 50 basis points. Yeah, no kidding. So again, it's going to be dragflation, declining economic growth and rising inflation. You got three companies that own 88% of the S&P 500: BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. You got 1% that own 54% of all the equity markets in the United States. 1%. When you put the 10%, 93%. It's a rigged game. They're going to do everything they can to keep the markets up. Oh, they got a thing called a plunge protection team. Oh, what am I, 6 years old? Who the hell are you talking to? Plunge protection team. You got a bunch of slime balls rigging the markets when it goes down. Oh, yeah, we can't lose. We're the 1%. All we are plantation workers of Slavelandia. Everybody get that in your head. The bigs own everything.
Celente frequently emphasizes the role of massive debt held by governments, corporations, and consumers in destabilizing the global economy. According to him, excessive debt has been used to fund economic growth, but it has reached unsustainable levels, particularly in developed economies. As this debt continues to accumulate, he warns of a looming crisis when debt obligations outpace income, and central banks are forced to raise interest rates, making repayment even more difficult. Another aspect of the artificial economy that Celente highlights is the growing economic inequality driven by this system. He argues that loose monetary policies have disproportionately benefited the wealthy, particularly those invested in assets like stocks and real estate, while leaving the middle and lower classes with stagnant wages and rising living costs. This, he warns, fuels social unrest and could eventually lead to large-scale protests or civil disobedience as people react against the economic inequalities perpetuated by the current system. Celente foresees what he calls a Great Reset or global economic reconfiguration when the current model becomes unsustainable. This could involve a shift away from the US dollar as the global reserve currency, the adoption of alternative or digital currencies, or a fundamental restructuring of global trade and financial systems. He warns that this reset could be sudden and severe, leading to significant financial losses for those unprepared. Let's get back to the video.
Go back to the BRICS. They've had enough of the United States socioeconomic and geopolitical hegemony. They're tired of it. America became the country that our founding fathers fought against. Great Britain. The business of Great Britain, the sun never sets on the British Empire. We'll kill and slaughter people all over the world. We love war. So, what happened after World War I? You had enough war? Whoop, the pound went way down because of all their wars, and the dollar took over. Now the United States became that same country. Over $1 trillion we spent when you put the military-industrial complex in intelligence agencies a year. Tens and tens and tens and countless of trillions of dollars to keep fighting these wars. The dollar is only strong because interest rates are high. The lower interest rates fall, the deeper the dollar goes. It's the beginning of the death of the dollar. The deeper the dollar falls, the higher gold prices go because gold is dollar-based. So it's cheaper for other countries to buy gold. This is just the beginning. When we go to gold, you have to look at the geopolitical situation. The Ukraine war and the Israel war. These two wars ramp up. Gold prices are going to spike way, way beyond where they are now. It's the most precious safe haven asset of the precious metals. So they're not talking about the geopolitical consequences. We are on the verge of nuclear war. Get in the best shape you can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You're in the fight for your life. And united we stand, divided we die. This is serious what's going on. I've never been more concerned in my life. I mean, that there is no outrage at the genocide being committed against the Palestinian people. And now it's bombs away over Beirut and Lebanon. That there is no outrage over this, and that the governments are supporting this in the West is disgusting. And it's going to go into nuclear annihilation if we don't stop it. World War II isn't ancient history. Anybody listen to John F. Kennedy's speech, June 1963. It's all about peace. He said, we should not go to war against the Soviet Union. These are very advanced people, technologically, culturally, scientifically. If we go to war against them, life on Earth will be wiped out in 24 hours. That's 1963. It's a speech to the graduating students at American University in Washington, D.C. That was June. July, August, September, October, November, Jack, you're dead. They killed him. It was all about peace. 8 months later, they took us into the Vietnam War. Again, life on Earth will be destroyed within 24 hours. We go to war, nuclear war now, life on Earth will be destroyed for generations. And matter of fact, Kennedy said it would be destroyed for generations as well. So all these imbeciles and morons that are building these bomb shelters, life will be so wonderful after the nuclear explosions. You'll be as happy as can be. Again, it's up to the people to stop this. And if we don't unite for peace, it's going to be hell on earth. That's my greatest concern.
Gerald Celente is sounding the alarm, predicting a severe 2008-style banking crisis in the U.S. following the presidential elections this November. He warns that now may be the time for investors to consider pulling their wealth out of the system before things take a dramatic turn. One way he suggests doing this? Invest in physical gold and silver. In the event of a collapse, these assets could act as a financial lifeline, offering security for you and your loved ones. Celente also anticipates an imminent pivot by the Federal Reserve, largely due to the government's massive debt burden. Soon, he expects the central bank will not just be announcing rate cuts, but outrightly printing to continue to prop up the world's largest artificial economy. Such a shift could drive gold and silver prices significantly higher in the coming months, making them even more attractive for those seeking stability in uncertain times. What are your thoughts on Gerald Celente's predictions for the U.S. economy and precious metals? Share your opinions in the comments below. It really helps boost our content in the algorithm and reach more viewers. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights like this. Thanks for tuning in.